What is up, everybody, and welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm Jacob Turner. Joining me from sunny Milwaukee, Wisconsin, it's our very own publisher, Andrew. Hold on, Andrew. I got you muted. What did you say? What'd you say?
I do think it's actually sunny today. It wasn't.
Oh, yesterday.
Is it? Yesterday was miserable.
You told me it was super cloudy yesterday, which is kind of.
You barely even see the skyline. It was so miserable. I think it's sunny today. I don't know. I've been outside since like 8 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, you don't live much outside this time of year. You're mainly inside basketball arenas or hotel rooms. You're getting your steps in. I know that.
I was going to say I don't have the sun. Tom Crean's here, and he's got the March suntan.
Oh, okay.
Suntan in a bottle, maybe.
Yeah. Keeps it with him, yeah. You got to love it, man. You got to love it. But you're in Fiserv Forum. I hope I'm pronouncing that first word right. It's the home of the Milwaukee Bucks for those who don't know. And you're there following Carolina's Media Day festivities and open practice ahead of their first round matchup with Ole Miss on Friday afternoon. So, AJ, this is going to be a little bit of a similar start to the other one we did when you were on site in Dayton, but talk to me about Carolina's kind of, I'm not going to use the word travel delays, but maybe unfortunate travel situation leaving Dayton on Tuesday night, because I guess it technically would have been Wednesday morning, because, man, it was a late night flight for the Tar Heels.
The difference is when they were trying to get to Dayton, there were storms in the east that delayed their flight almost 4 hours. They had a chartered flight. The plane couldn't get there. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like, hey, this plane's just sitting here because there weren't any storms in Raleigh. Is the plane that they were supposed to use couldn't get there. The difference here is they were going to leave after the game anyway and go to Milwaukee. They had a 2 a.m. flight, and game ended close to midnight. Had 2 a.m. flight and didn't take off till 2:50 because they had some issues, some delay. I don't know what the reason was for the delays, but I did get a little play-by-play on the rundown there. They finish all the interview stuff with us, and they race back to the hotel. Everybody takes showers, they pack, and they get on the bus. They get to the airport, which took a little longer than they thought it would. And they just sitting there waiting to take off. Took off at 2:50 in the morning, came here to Milwaukee, got a few hours sleep, and they had a 3 o'clock practice. So the players were kind of having some fun with it, saying that it was challenging. But as Elliot Cadeau said, hey, it's tough. It's tough for a lot of teams in the tournament, but there are a lot of teams that aren't dealing with this, so it's okay. Mm-hmm. So I wrote a story on it because it's kind of brings people into the side of the tournament that is different from the regular. You don't have stuff like that in the regular season. They fly home after road games all the time, but they go home. In fact, usually after a road game, Steve Kirshner will send out the post-game notes after they land. And I'm always in the arena wherever they played. So those guys are asleep, and some of us are still in the arena. But this was a little bit different. And I also think it was smart, too, because they avoided all the crazy travel yesterday because the storms were terrible. So they would have been delayed yesterday and may have missed the practice. They didn't have a full practice before San Diego State. Mm-hmm. They had a 40-minute open practice in Dayton. That was it. So this time, at least, they've been able to get their Ole Miss work in. The kids knew a lot more about Ole Miss today than they did Monday about San Diego State.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. And just to put a little more context on what you were saying, it's in the piece on our website, so go check that out. But you mentioned in there that essentially left around 2:50 in the morning on Wednesday morning, got to the hotel, landed, checked in, at the hotel, got a little bit of sleep, obviously, and then went to the Bucks' practice facility around 3 p.m. that afternoon, I believe. So yeah, that's a quick turnaround, man. I'm sure the Tar Heels are rested up by now, but again, that just shows the grind in the amount of travel, especially when you have that first playing game. That first playing game to that first round game, it's a quick turnaround, man. Especially
that's the newness, because they practiced before the bids went out Sunday, and they had to get all their stuff going, and then they were at RDU for almost 4 hours just waiting. So that's a lot worse than what they had the other night, but it's fine. It's just a little side note to what they're going through. I guess the important thing for them is if they win Friday, then they don't have to worry about that kind of travel stuff before the next game, because it'll be here in Milwaukee as well.
So yeah, man, let's move on to today's festivities. Obviously, with Media Day, I know it was Hubert Davis, Seth Trimble, and RJ Davis that were in the main press conferences, and then you were able to break out with the players for a little bit as well. A lot of good stuff on our YouTube channel. Make sure you go check that out after this, and hit that subscribe button too while you're thinking about it. And then you had the open practice. So we'll start with interviews and whatnot. We'll focus more so on the breakout interviews in the locker room. I know that's something you always really enjoy. You've talked a lot about on here. So any interesting tidbits in there? And I understand you had some, I know you asked the guys about the flight, but had some, interesting conversation with a guy like Jaylen Withers in particular.
Yeah. Someone is writing a story about the 2022 team, asking these guys who are not on the team if they followed it, what they remember about it. And he was drawing a correlation with Jay Witt and Brady Manick and what, stretch four that's able to hit threes, which Jay Witt's been doing. And Brady obviously did that at an absurd level in 2022. And I ended up, when I got to Jay Witt, I was waiting my turn, and I went back to the Brady thing. I said, I'm not trying to do a whole Brady combination or connection thing here. I said, but the thing that I actually relate you guys more to is the edge. And he agreed. Because when Brady got in the lineup in 2022, the team's edge went up. They played tougher. They played more resilient. This team has done the same thing. When Jay Witt got in the starting lineup at somewhat similar time, Brady was a couple weeks sooner. And I think that's what he provides. So we kind of talked about that. And he the thing I like about him is that he doesn't, all shucks, it's the other guys that make me better kind of thing, which there's nothing wrong with that, but he's very real when he talks. And yeah, I give the guys energy. I play hard. They see it. They follow what I do in that sense. And I think part of the thing that we've associated with the team's elevated level of play and Jay Witt being in the starting lineup is the respect they have for him. Because let's remember in January, go look at some of those minutes he got in games. 4, 6, 3, 3. He had 4 out of 6 games where he didn't even play in the second half in one stretch.
Yep.
Now he's a starter, and they must get a good game from him to advance. You could not have foreseen this on January 20th.
Yeah.
But now this is who they are, and he has weathered all those storms. And here he is at the end of his career, a guy that when he's available, it's a massive media around him. And I remember not long ago when there was nobody around him. And he's taken it on. And he's a good spokesman for the team. He's a guy that keeps it real with what they do well, what they don't do well, kind of where they are. You get a good vibe of where the team is. And I think the Brady thing is interesting because the shooting is fine. The theatrics are fine. But to me, it's the edge. Yeah. It's tenacity, it's the edge, it's the fanny smack, and those are the things that I think Jay Witt brings to the floor that is comparable to what Brady did more than anything else, and he agrees. So,
can I ask you something real quick? What do you? And maybe you've asked him or talked to him about this some, but you mentioned earlier the struggles that he had in some of those games where he didn't play a lot. What do you think, or do you know, like what flipped with him? Was it just being thrust into the lineup more and be relied upon more? Like, if you have any indication of what light switch flipped in his head that made him start this run?
He started. He played 6 minutes in the 1-point win over Pitt. 2 days later, they're at Clemson, and he starts.
You think it's just simple as
now? He only played 17 minutes that night because Hubert hadn't fully moved into the bigger lineup thing, and they got blown out at Clemson. But it was Syracuse when Hubert went with him. Remember, he almost didn't play that game because Cade Tyson scratched his eye. And he almost didn't play in that game, and he did, and he's the reason they won. It was his shooting, it was his scoring, it was his rebounding, it was just the passion that he took to the floor, and passion was something this team hasn't had a lot of this year. It's been intermittent in the course of games. It's been intermittent from one segment to another, one player to another. And that was when everything changed. And I think for him, it's like, hey, I'm still here. This is a new lease on life. I got nothing to lose because I've been riding the bench for a while. When he thought he was starting early in the year, it's his last go around. And I think because he's mature, he processed it properly. He didn't take it personally. And when the opportunity came, he's made the most of it. And he's the biggest reason why they are where they are.
It's interesting, man. Yeah, because he really has been kind of the catalyst for him for sure. And in this, turnaround that Carolina had that a lot of us, including me and AJ in a lot of ways, didn't necessarily see coming. But yeah, I mean, I find that his situation and story kind of fascinating. It's similar to Manick in a way. I mean, Manick's a different story, but the way he kind of came on later in the year and galvanized the team, like you mentioned, it took him some time to figure it out as well. A different situation altogether. But
another similar another kind of similar story is the one of Elliot Cadeau, where Elliot's kind of opening up a little more lately. A lot of that comes with maturity. He's a sophomore now, end of his sophomore year. He acknowledged to me today that he really had some confidence issues for a while. If you go back and look at the stat lines, all those big turnover games, I mean, it's messing with his mind. He's getting in early foul trouble. He's having a lot of turnovers. There was a lot of confidence stuff going on there, but he believes he's playing the best basketball of his life right now. The numbers kind of back it up. In the 4 postseason games, 30 assists, 7 turnovers. He's 5 for 6 from 3 in the postseason games, going back to the ACC tournament. And it's been preached to him by Jeff Lebo and by Hubert and by Marcus Page. Don't go for the home run, make the single pass. Don't go for the home run pass. But he's gotten to a point now where the home run passes are working. That lead to Seth in transition against San Diego State, that was a home run pass. Some of those one-handed oops, those are home run passes, and he's doing them with ease now because everything else is coming more easily. He's far more polished with all the other stuff. So it's opening the door for the double off the wall and the home run type passes, which they like to use that terminology. So he's as confident as he's ever been. He told me that the game has slowed down for him. He believes that he sees the other 9 people on the floor simultaneously. And that's pretty good thing to have from an extremely talented point guard who has struggled. But the beautiful thing about college basketball is it's a pretty long season. You have time to figure stuff out and continue to evolve as a player and as a team. And if you think about where they were 6 weeks ago with Elliott struggling like crazy, Ian Jackson kind of in that little slump he was in, Jay Witt wasn't playing. People weren't really sure what Van Allen Lubin was. And this is a dramatically different basketball team in so many ways than it was 6 weeks ago. And the big part of it is you're talking the evolution of a lot of people, which has contributed to the evolution of this team.
Yeah, Cadeau's been really fun to watch in particular. Again, the last few games been big time for Carolina in the postseason for the most part, particularly against San Diego State and Duke. And one thing I'm intrigued with him, and maybe it starts more tomorrow, because I remember Duke has done it, and it's because of how we struggle to shoot from outside in particular. Duke did it in the ACC tournament semifinals, and I know San Diego State did it some early in the game as well, where I remember the first 3 that he hit, the guy didn't. It wasn't that he didn't close down on him, but he didn't close down on him as hard as he would if it was a guy like RJ Davis, who's more of a threat from outside. So I'm intrigued to see now that the ball is going in the basket, especially from deep. Dude, I think defenses are going to have to start playing him tighter, AJ, because I mean he's been fantastic from beyond the arc in recent weeks. Yeah, and one of his issues with his turnovers have been hands and passing lanes because people be able to lay off of him. So they have a split second more to react to a chest pass it to a cutter in the lane. Mm-hmm. Now I think you see more bounce passes to those cutters, especially when it applies. Ole Miss, though, is a club that will take advantage. They'll make you make mistakes. You can't be loose with the ball like Carolina was the other night at the start of the game. I talked to someone in the program today. With those 5 early turnovers, Ole Miss will have you down 15. San Diego State didn't capitalize on them. Ole Miss will capitalize. So they cannot be loose with the ball. And that goes back to Elliott. And I do think one thing he's doing a little better but can do better is sometimes the ball will leave him. It takes a long time to get back to him, and guys get in trouble. Yeah, I know it's not 1980, but the point guard can go get the ball. Get it. He can dribble. He has a live dribble, and he can reset things. I think they'll probably need to do some of that Friday because Ole Miss takes you out of your offense. They force you to. They one of the top, if not the top team in the country at forcing turnovers. They also don't turn it over. So that's one massive, little teeter-totter edge that they have over Carolina going this game. That's probably the only one. And the Tar Heels, once they cut down on turnovers, they go a long period without committing many, which was the case the other night. So they got to avoid that early. They can't let lazy stuff. They can't have lazy turnovers and then pay for it by falling behind. So this is going to be a game where Elliott needs to play real well. They need Jay Witt to do what we were just talking about. He needs to have that energy, that edge, and it needs to bleed on to everybody else. And Elliott needs to continue playing the way he's playing. The floor general in charge of the court on both ends of the floor needs to be there because
not only was he outstanding distributing the ball Tuesday night, but that was his best defensive game as a Tar Heel. Mm-hmm. And he's going to need to be that again because Ole Miss got a lot of guards. They like to push it on you, and Carolina's going to need to be able to stay in front of the ball a lot. If they can stay in front of the ball. Ole Miss is not a great three-point shooting team. It increases Carolina's chances at winning. So Elliot's going to be a major, major part of Friday on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's talk about the open practice real quick. First question I'll ask you is, was it similar in layout and similar in maybe intensity to what you saw before the Dayton game? Because I know that was a little bit more intense of a practice than we've seen. I think a lot of that was because of the flight delays that Carolina had showing up late to that. But was the format a little bit different today?
A little bit. They didn't do as much 5-on-5, but they did quite a bit of it. And for people who have seen Carolina when Roy was head coach, they go to these open practices and it'd be a lot of fun, and they'd end up with a dunking show. Mm-hmm. No dunking shows now. It's about business. It's about getting in work. And we got about 10 little short videos that I shot from practice from different things that they were doing. It was pretty competitive as white versus blue. And they get after it on the glass a little bit. They got to run stuff. A lot of it is just get a feel for playing ball, hooping in this building, and also doing the right thing. Hubert stopped a couple of times and got on guys. When they would get a rebound on one end, he's on the floor to push it, move. He wants them to play at their tempo today, so they play at it tomorrow. I got a lot out of it. I think I like watching practice. I'm a guy who loves football practice, baseball practice, basketball practice. I like to see what they're doing behind the scenes that gives you the product that you see on game day. And I think what you saw today is, if you're a North Carolina person and you've watched a lot of their games, you'd say, yeah, this is North Carolina playing North Carolina. They're both sides are trying to do the same thing. And I thought they got a lot out of it. I will say this, by far the smallest crowd I've ever seen for an open practice in an NCAA tournament. There are maybe 200 people here. Most of them are Iowa State. They practiced right before Carolina. It was I saw maybe 25 Carolina fans at the most.
Wow. That's pretty uncommon.
It's downtown. The weather's been terrible. I think that in Carolina, in the sense of Carolina, it's a big step to get here for some fans because they weren't sure if they were going to get here. So maybe a lot of flights coming in today because the game's tomorrow. A lot of people don't think about the open practice. Yeah. So I've had people texting me, asking me yesterday, hey, are you going to fly up Friday? I'm like, no. Don't you remember? All this stuff to do. So there's not a whole lot of people up here right now for that. But I said, Kentucky practice, and there weren't a ton of Kentucky fans. And they knew they were going to be here. So maybe it's just Milwaukee.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not necessarily the North Carolina Tar Heels capital of the world, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but Carolina fans everywhere.
It's also not South Beach, Yeah,
that's a good point. It's
Milwaukee. It's got its own character and stuff, but it's Milwaukee.
Tell me a little bit about Milwaukee, AJ. It's your first time in Milwaukee?
Second time. Carolina lost to Wisconsin in 21 when the whole tournament was in Indiana. Yeah. And Carolina was in West Lafayette at Purdue. Mm-hmm. And when they lost the next day, I didn't have to fly home until that Monday when we found out that Roy was going to retire. We couldn't report it yet. And I drove up here with the Racine. I drove up here. I ended up in Madison. The next day I drove down through Illinois to go back. I stopped off in Rockford where the Rockford Peaches played.
That's so you, man. That is so you, man.
I walked on Illinois State's football field. I got it.
That's even more you. I actually think that's more you than you stopping by the.
Don't you remember the video of Indiana State's pitiful football stadium I sent you guys?
Yeah, it was bad.
So I had to take a couple of AJ days, do a little bit of work, but I came here to Milwaukee. I'd never been here before. I spent about an hour at the baseball park. They have a ton of statues of all the great brewers, so I was enjoying that. Bob Uecker statue as well, and he just passed away a couple of months ago. So, yeah, I've been here. It's Milwaukee. I'm looking around for Laverne and Shirley, and I can't see them. The Happy Days guys or Squiggy and whatever that guy's name was.
Oh, that's hililious. I'm a That 70s Show fan, so that –
is that based in Milwaukee?
Point Pleasant, Wisconsin, but they would, which I don't even think is a real place, but they would talk about going to Milwaukee. And stuff.
Well, Seth Trimble's from here.
Yeah, homecoming.
And he's got 24 tickets. Each player gets 6 tickets to the NCAA tournament. 24. And they can do with them what they want. They can't go sell them, but they can give them away. And he was able to get players to give him tickets. So he's got 24.
Wow.
So he's never played in this building. When he walked out on the court was the first time he'd ever stepped foot. This is a different court, obviously, than what the Bucks play on, but the court in this building he never played near. Said he's seen hundreds of Bucks games here.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. I wonder if JP's going to be there. I think he's overseas playing like Israeli league or something like that. Maybe
I know a lot of local news. The local media here really giving Seth a lot of attention. I think he had a friend in the stands that's here, and they were interviewing him as well. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, that is pretty sweet right there. That's awesome to hear. Yeah, love to get your insights on the places you travel to. I found that very interesting. As AJ sneezes off camera, bless you. Way to mute yourself too. That was fantastic.
I know. I've sneezed like 20 times today. I think I'll tell you, I think the bug that got my eye the other night, I think it poisoned me, and now I'm sneezing and just. It's March. It's March, and I'm in Milwaukee, and they had snow Sunday, and they were expecting possible flurries today. Let me see.
I hate to hear that, man. It's been pretty nice here. Pollen's killing me, but.
It's sunny and 39 here right now.
Oh, my God.
So what is it back home?
Right now we've got it's raining a little bit. Not bad. 60 degrees, man. 20 degree difference right there.
Well, it was 75 in Raleigh when I landed yesterday, and I got in my Uber, and it was 37, and it was raining and windy as hell, and it felt like it was 24. But it was rain. It wasn't snow. And the Uber driver, in his Wisconsin accent, said 3 or 4 times, we might get snow. So
that's good, man. You got great impressions.
Please no snow.
Yeah.
Imagine Dina coming up here. You mentioned Dina coming up here. When I checked in, I got my credential, I was checking my bag. One of the dudes checking me in says, "You sound like you're from the South." I'm like, no. You ever met Miss Dina King, sir?
Yeah. You don't know what the South sounds like, man.
I have a conversation, Dina and David Sisk.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We need to get them on a podcast. Just talk about whatever they want to talk about. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's fantastic. I had to ask you about Milwaukee. I'm always intrigued to see what these places are like.
I love going. Well, the first time I ever covered anything here, so I got a magnet. I got that weird tradition going too. That my wife.
It's right on. What lake is it on? Michigan. I was going to say that, but I wasn't confident.
Yeah, wind comes hissing in here, and it's just.
How's the Bucks arena? How's the arena?
It's nice. They're all kind of the same now. All these NBA arenas are kind of the same. I will say one thing I do like about downtown here is that they haven't like in Charlotte's kind of overloaded downtown with a lot of new structures. One of the reasons I like the more Rust Belt cities and Eastern cities is because it's a combination of old and new, and they've kept the old stuff here, and it's a little spread out downtown, so you could see the different eras of architecture.
I like that.
Building a city, so I kind of like that.
It's got a little history to it. Yeah, it doesn't feel kind of plastic kind of thing. Yeah, it's not just
plastic at all. Not plastic at all.
You probably love Pittsburgh then, don't you?
I adore Pittsburgh.
I'm about to say, because you said when you're describing what you like, I was like, Pittsburgh.
Well, and the bridges and stuff like that. So I don't have a car here. I'm staying downtown. I'm going to get out and try to walk around some, but I don't know how much I can.
Heck yeah.
Clemson's down 20 with 10 minutes left.
Can you believe they had 13 points at halftime or something like that? 13 points, 18 points, something
so
like that.
So two 18 and 2 ACC teams are complete train wrecks today. I guess the league is what it is.
Yeah, maybe it was what we thought it was the whole time.
That is a pitiful display.
Yeah, from the number 2 and number 3 finishes in the league just getting.
It's a disgrace. I thought Clemson had serious Final Four contender written all over them, but is a disgrace.
Yeah,
NC State's next coach kicking their butt.
I know. Will Wade, McNeese State, man. That's a good hire by State. I know Carolina doesn't want to hear that.
Will Wade's alma mater is Clemson.
I know. I heard he would have, when they hired Keats, he told Debbie Yao that I know it's not a state podcast real quick, but he told Debbie Yao that he wanted to wait to see if the Clemson job stayed open, and they ended up moving on and hiring Keats because that was before, I guess, the same year Brad Brownell came in. Or maybe
I heard yesterday.
I can't remember, but
I heard yesterday in their presser he was talking about how sometimes he pays very close attention to what Dat Boy does on a recruiting trail. So
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fit. Anything else to report from media?
The team's locked in. The team's really locked in. That really jumped out at me Monday when we talked about the team. Jumped out at me again today. Very locked in. There's not a whole lot of smiling. Some of the guys were playing cards in the locker room today. That's customary, but they were. I think they want to get this game and play it. I think they're locked in. I think they're ready to go. I think they're playing with a ton of confidence. I think they believe they can not just beat Ole Miss, but they can have a very nice performance against Ole Miss. They know about Ole Miss's top two leading scorers, Sean Padula from Virginia Tech and Jamin Brakefield from Duke. I think that gives them confidence, to be honest with you. Padula's a nice player, but he wasn't wowing anybody at Virginia Tech, only on occasion last year. So obviously it's a year later. He's a lot better, but I think they have a lot of confidence going into this game. And it's not confidence so much because of the other team. It's confidence in who they are and who they've become. And I think they're enjoying the season more now than they have all year. I think that they know who they are. There are no issues about identity. There's no issues about roles. There's no issues about who's getting what shots and who's not. There's no issues about anything. I mean, they are who they are. This is the best version of what they've been all year long. They're very comfortable with it. They're embracing it. And I do think they kind of like they don't like the questions, but they understand that when every reporter here in Milwaukee asks them the things that we asked in Dayton about getting in, about that kind of stuff, about the chip on the shoulder and all that junk, I think that these guys don't use it as major fuel, but it's a constant reminder that people don't think you should be here. So if you needed one more little layer, just one more, they're getting constant reminders of that. And I think that'll help them.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, man. Well said, AJ. Well said. We'll really intrigued to see what happens on Friday night. We'll both be back for three things afterwards, and you make sure you keep it locked to TarIllustrated.com for all your coverage from Media Day, open practice, and tomorrow's game, and the rest of the tournament as well, depending on how far the Tar Heels can go. But AJ, I'm sure you got at least one or two more things to do probably for you.
Three more articles if you include the 5 keys.
Okay.
Brian's good. Brian's not here, but he's going to do some stuff as well. So we've already got a lot of stuff up.
A lot.
We had 7 interviews with players from the locker room. We have the presser up. I've got a ton of reels that I shot, a lot of photos. And so we'll just be rolling stuff out.
Yeah, love it, man. I absolutely love it. Grind time, busy time of the season, but we're loving every second of it. I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones. We appreciate you guys checking back in with us here at TarIllustrated.com. A couple of quick housekeeping items. Make sure you subscribe below, hit that notification bell. We're trying to hit 20,000 as soon as we can. If Carolina keeps winning this tournament, I think we might be able to hit it by the end of their run if we can keep racking it up, because I think we're 19, getting close to 19-4 now, if not at.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I look maybe in Dayton.
Yeah, it's growing good. I mean, obviously, NCAA tournament always is good for business, especially when Carolina is playing well. So, again, we appreciate everybody that's watching. But go ahead and subscribe below if you haven't. And hopefully we can get to that 20K pretty quickly. We're also trying to hit 40,000 on Twitter. Head on over there. Links in the description, along with Facebook, where we just hit our milestone. Big thank you to everybody. Got over 12,000. But go over there and like us again. What is that?
I'm sorry. I'm going to announce. I just got to have time. We'll sit there and sift through and just randomly choose some people. So just I want to get it done soon because those people deserve to be on during the tournament. So I'm going to try to maybe do that tonight.
Yeah, man. You got a lot of stuff to do. I'm sure the people understand. But we'll get, for those who did over there, we will be giving out some free subscriptions to TarIllustrated.com.
51.29 with 8:05 left. I'm sorry. I mean, I like Brad. I've known Brad since he was at UNCW. I'm a Brad. I'll be a Brad defender in some respects, but that's a disgrace.
You know what it is, AJ? And
it's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace.
You know what else it is, AJ? And I haven't said this on a couple podcasts. I'm going to let it fly right here. That is stinky right there from Clemson. And Louisville today, but Clemson, that's even worse.
So it's down to Carolina, who shouldn't be in the tournament according to the universe, and Duke,
who has a really good chance at making a deep run here. They're in Raleigh today. Just made that bus trip 30 minutes down the road and hopped over to Raleigh. So not a bad place to be if you're a Duke basketball player, but Carolina fans don't want to hear about that, obviously. But guys, we appreciate it. We'll be giving out some more free subscriptions to TarIllustrated.com. So just make sure you like and follow us on all those channels. And again, we greatly appreciate it. Thanks, y'all. See y'all next time.
Thanks.